What up, champ? How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Property Wealth. My name is John Mutombo. I hope you guys are doing good. You're keeping well. You're following the advice from the government. Keeping clean, following your hand hygiene, washings, and everything. And obviously, if you guys are not working, please stay at home. Do not be going out for any unnecessary reasons. We're only giving curfew for once a day for exercises. So if you're not doing that, guys, please stay at home. So anyway, today I will be talking about mortgages and the different mortgage types you can go for, especially for investors. What kind of mortgages they should go for? Is it an interest only or a repayment mortgage? A lot of question comes around that. Which one is good? Which one is bad? So today I will be talking about that. You guys stay tuned if you're interested, and I shall see y'all soon. Peace out. Hello, my people. Welcome back again. I know you're still here, and if you're still here, it shows you're still interested in what I'm gonna discuss. So stay tuned, relax, get a cup of coffee, get some popcorns, whatever, and stay tuned because we're gonna have a lot to say regarding this. Well, not a lot to say because at the end of the day, I don't want to bore you guys ears regarding this topic. I just want to keep it cool, keep it simple, and let's get it rolling. As I mentioned, today we're gonna talk about different type of mortgages. So the interest only mortgages and the repayment mortgage. Before going into details regarding these two, I know there's a lot of topics, there's a lot of views and opinions about it. At the end of the day, when you're going for a mortgage, you're getting debt. It's to do with debt. A lot of people are against debt. I know there's a lot of people out there that preaches debt is not good. But I always tell people, don't forget there's two type of debts. There's a good debt and there's bad debt. So it's just depending, whenever you're going to get a debt or a loan or anything, just remember which category is your debt fitting in. Is it going to be the good side or the bad side? What do I mean by that? Well, a good debt is, when someone is going to the bank, or any companies out there that deals with lendings, you go and take a loan, and obviously you're now using that money, that loan that you're taking, to invest. Because at the end of the day, you're borrowing money to put it into an asset. An asset is anything that brings money back into your pocket. So always remember, anything that you're purchasing that's bringing money back into your pocket, it's an asset, which is good debt. We want that. However, the bad debt is those who now go to the bank, the same situation, rather than when they're borrowing money, rather than investing and putting it into something that will create an income and bring money inside as an asset. What they will do now, they will take that money and purchase a liability, something that's taking money out of their pocket. Example, cars, luxury things, and gambling, all those kind of things. Gambling 50-50 chance. Well, not 50-50, because most of the time you'll lose anyway. So yeah, liability. Anything that's taking money out of your pocket is a liability. So always remember that there's good debt and there's bad debt. The majority of people today, or our society, the way we're conditioned is to not get into debt. You go to school, you get a good job after you've qualified after you finish university or whatever, you get a good job. We're taught to become employees. That's the norms, for you to become slave of money, because you'll always be working for your money. You're not going to put value in yourself, you're going to put value in time, because at the end of the day, you'll be chasing money. The more time you're working, the more money you're earning. And we're taught that from young age. You go to school, you learn to be a good employee. Even though you're paying one of the highest taxes, it's okay. Just be a good person, always work hard for money. The rich don't do that. The 1% of society, which are the rich, they don't do that. They play by different rules. And that's what I've been interested for a very long time to follow. Why is the 99% going through the same rules and not making it? And this 1%, when you look at all the rich and financial free people, they all have the same mentality, it's like they all function the same, and the way they function is not how society function. When you're looking at all the financially free people out there, people who have reached their financial targets, they don't go according to the norms of society. They are risk takers. They play by complete different rules. Their rules of the game is completely different. And I've been following all my mentors, people that I follow a lot, are people that they don't play by the rules. And at the end of the day, that's how you become successful. You follow what the 1% are doing, not follow what the 99% are doing, because at the end of the day, that's insanity. You know, Albert Einstein was once asked, what insanity is, and he described it as insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. You've been doing something for such a long time. Society have been doing the same routine for such a long time, and the same results happen, and they keep doing it from generations to generation. We're taught to employees to pay in the highest taxes ever as employees, because employees, if you're an employee, you pay one of the highest tax ever. But if you're an investor, an entrepreneur, you don't, because at the end of the day, when you calculate all the business taxes and everything, when your business expenses and all these kind of things, you pay less taxes. But at the end of the day, obviously this topic is quite controversial, so I don't want to go too much into that. I've got my own opinion, other people got their own opinion. But at the end of the day, guys, what I'm trying to tell you guys, you shouldn't work for money. Let the money work for you. The rich, they use money and taxes, debt and taxes to get wealthy, whereas the poor, they use debt and taxes to get poor. The same value, the same category of debt and taxes is making one category rich, and the same value of debt and taxes are making the poor and the middle class poorer. That's quite interesting. So when I think about this, how do wealthy people, how did they become rich? How did they use debt and taxes to become rich? So what is the interest only pay mortgage, and what is a repayment mortgage? Pretty simple, pretty basic. Interest only mortgage, so you go to the bank, you take a loan. That loan you're taking comes with interest, because at the end of the day, the bank needs to profit. So when you're taking an interest only, you're not paying the loan that you're taking. So let's say I go to the bank now, I decide to borrow from the bank 100,000 £100,000. So with that £100,000, let's say the interest is 50,000. I will only pay the bank every month that 50,000, the interest. I won't pay the loan, because the loan, even though I've used it to buy a property, but I'm not paying the loan. I'm only paying the interest, and at the end of the contract, I will have to give that £100,000 back to the bank. And obviously a repayment, what a repayment is you're actually paying both, and the interest and the loan repayment. So you're combining the two and you're paying it back to the bank. A lot of people, they prefer repayments because at the end of the day, it's all part of the security. They want that safety and security, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be into debt. People don't want to, a lot of people, that mentality is always there, not to be into, not to go into debt, to try and get rid of the debts, as fast as possible, so they can live a debt-free life, and they can achieve their goal. At the end of the day, it's good for some people, but for investors, if you want to get into property investing, because don't forget, the whole aim of investing is to create passive income and a good cash flow. When you're doing a repayment mortgage, it decreases your cash flow, because at the end of the day, you're paying the repayment and the interest, which means, the profit which you're supposed to get will be minimized, because at the end of the day, most of the money is going back to the bank. If you're a first-time buyer, that's understandable, because at the end of the day, not a lot of banks will give interest-only mortgages to first-time buyers, unless you get a good, mortgage broker who knows, quite a few bankers, and who knows the ins and outs. They can play around for you. But a lot of banks, if you go through the bank, they will tell you no, because at the end, I've been to quite a few banks. When I went to buy my first property, they were, strict. They had already told me the rules that, it's gonna be a repayment mortgage. Once you have a repayment mortgage, your first property, then your second property, third property, fourth property can become interest only, because obviously you're using it as an investment. So first property is fine, but obviously after that, if you start buying property for investing, it's always good to go for an interest. That's for me, my personal opinion anyway, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to create cash flow. I'm not trying to pay back the bank quickly. I'm trying to create cash flow, something that will bring more money into my pocket. So I'll only give the bank a small portion, which will only be only the interest. Some interest are 3%, 5%. It can go up to 10%, but depending on your credit score, a lot of the average was probably 3 to 5%. So imagine you get, you're paying the bank only 3 to 5%, and you're getting 20 to 30%, cash flow coming in. That's a win-win situation. That's very good. Whereas if you were paying the repayment, you will be paying that 3 to 5%, and on top of that, the loan you will be giving back, which is like, some if it's like 500, 600, your cash flow is reducing, and you're not really gaining. Although you will be gaining some depending on what deals you're doing, but you won't really be creating a good passive cash flow, that good cash flow at the end of the day, because when you're investing, investors look for cash flows. So one of the major fear regarding why people don't want to go for an interest only, because at the end of the day, it's the fear, okay, what will happen after you finish paying the interest? Where you're gonna get that money from if you have to give back, because remember, at the end, when you're doing interest only, you still have to pay the bank back the actual loan that you took, which is the 100 grand. You still have to pay that back to the bank. And where would you get it from? It's easier, to be honest, at the end, when you think about it. Let's say, for example, you look at, when you go and get a property, because at the end of the day, when you're getting a mortgage, most of the time it's 25 years, 30 years, which the bank will ask you to pay back the money. So within 25 years to 30 years, what happens to property? Does it go up or does it go down? The average property every 10 years increases, even doubles. The average property, obviously now, properties are not really going up as much as before, but still properties they do tend to go up every 10 years, 25 years, they do tend to go up. My first property, when I bought it, within 3 years, I managed to get a lot of equity out of it. Just 3 years. Imagine 10 years, now 25 years. Think of the houses now, even go on Rightmove, look for house prices now, go back, look at the history 25 years ago, how much those properties were. You will see they have gone up significantly, so house prices always go up. So if you have to pay the bank its money back, what you can do is you can always sell that house. You bought it for 100 grand, you've paid off the interest, 25 years time you've paid up all the interest, and the house price goes up to 200 or 225. You sell it, you give the bank back 100 grand, and you still got all the equity, 100 grand extra or 25, depending on how much it's gone up. That goes in your pocket, and you can use that to invest again. This is why interest rate is good, because at the end of the day, you have been creating cash flow throughout those 25 years. Don't forget those cash flows. And at the end of the 25 years, you sell the property and give back the bank, and you still have more money in your account. It's a win-win. Win-win. So this is why a lot of investors, they love to go for interest rate, because most of the time you will always win when it comes at the end of it. Some people might be a bit, critical and negative, or what if it doesn't go, up? What if property market crashes? Oh, it doesn't go up. Then you don't sell it. You go and you refinance again. You put another mortgage on it, and then for another 25 years or how many amounts of years. You don't have to sell it if you don't want to. If the price has not gone up, you can just go and refinance it again and take another deal again. And you continue paying the interest only, and then when it goes up, you give back the bank that, that 100 grand. Is, to be honest, because at the end of the day, the repayments is good, but at the end of the day, it's all about, safe and security. People want safe and secure. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, don't get me wrong. There's completely enough. If that works for some people, if it works for some people, it's good. But what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, when you're looking at investing, and as a property investor, they look for cash flow. Cash flow is what creates financial freedom, because don't forget, once you're renting, you gain all those cash flow, And at the end of the day, you don't want to use those renting money, because at the end of the day, this is where compound interest comes from. Whatever profit you're getting, those rents, you keep it, you hold it for a second, and then once all that money bulks up within like a year time, you reinvest it back into property. This is where compound interest comes in. Every money that's coming in, you're not using it, you're putting it back into properties again. And this is how people build property portfolios of 1 property, 10 properties, 15, 20, 50, 100. Sky's the limit once you understand the power of compound interest. You can take it to a different level, but how does it start? It starts by that cash flow. Focus on the cash flow. Once you get a good cash flow, sky's your limit. But once you're going for a repayment mortgage, you're very limited with the amounts you can do with the cash flow. The cash flow won't be as good as when you're doing interest only, and this is why I prefer interest only when it comes to second, third property. First property, yes, it's cash flow, because at the end of the day, I was obliged by the banks to have a mortgage repayment on my first property. But the rest is always interest only, because at the end of the day, cash flow is what we want. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was a quick one, but obviously I hope it's been quite educative, and at the end of the day, a lot of people have been asking me a lot of questions around it. Here's your answer, guys. For me, it's the interest only. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you prefer the interest only or repayment. And have a lovely day. Have a whether it's day or night where you are. I hope you guys are keeping safe, and peace out.